Hey guys, Mike from the Autograph Network here, coming to you on Sunday. Today marks the 10th anniversary of September 11th, a day that will forever be remembered in American history. It was a day my life changed, America changed, and the world changed. So I just wanted to share my own personal 9/11 story 10 years later. It's still hard for me to talk about and watch videos and see the footage, hear the voices. For you young guys, I know if you weren't old enough to really understand the impact that day had, it's understandable. We all, I wasn't that old, or I was in elementary school when the Challenger disaster happened, and I know for people who were older it was much more impactful than I remember. But for my generation, 9/11 is a day that 10 years later still brings the same emotion as it did 10 years ago. It's still a very open wound, and the impact is still felt today. I mean, go to an airport and you spend 2 hours getting through security. That's as a result of 9/11. It wasn't before like that before, but I'll give you guys a little backstory. I have been to New York City a couple times. My first trip was in late December 1999. I was in New York City for New Year's Eve, Times Square, for the millennium, 99 to 2000. We went early so we could do all the sightseeing because I've never been to New York City before that. And one of our stops was the World Trade Center. Some of you young kids don't remember that there was another bombing attempt to bring down the towers in '93. And we wanted to go see the area. I mean, obviously the Twin Towers were a very touristy attraction when they were standing, for obvious reasons, but I want to show you guys a couple things before I get into my 9/11 story. These are from that first trip in '99. So this is a skyline of New York City that you will never see again. You can see the Twin Towers in the back there. This was taken from the Empire State Building Observatory, looking towards Hudson Bay. You can't really see it, but that is the Statue of Liberty back there, and of course the Twin Towers. So you can see how much they dominated the skyline. I remember driving into Manhattan. That was the first thing you saw. And me and my wife went to a Yankees game, and driving into New York City, you see the skyline and it's totally different. It's such a different feeling. Imagine seeing the skyline without those buildings. It's really amazing. I can't believe that they're not there. I can't believe it's been 10 years. But I want to show you guys one more picture. And this is a picture I took. Like I said, we did go to the Twin Towers, and we were going to go up in the observatory, but the line was a little long, so we just cruised around the shops down in the basement, in the sub-level, and in the lobby. And this is standing in between the north and the south tower looking up. It's 113 stories up or whatever, but I took this picture. This is my own very personal picture, and it means the world to me because I mean that you can never experience that. I was lucky enough to stand at the base of the Twin Towers, and so it's 9/11 has a very personal meaning to me. As far as my 9/11 story, I was actually driving from Michigan to Seattle, so I was in the middle of nowhere, America, and I had about 30 hours of driving ahead of me, so got an early start that morning. Was listening to the Bob and Tom show. If you guys are familiar with Bob and Tom, it's a very funny syndicated comedy show, and they were doing their bits, and 9 o'clock rolled around and the first plane hit, and they just made an announcement, and they're like, oh, we're getting reports that a small plane has hit the World Trade Center. And you don't think anything of it because there's so much air traffic, or there used to be, around New York City, because you have Newark Airport in New Jersey, JFK, LaGuardia. So, you know, you think, oh, somebody just made a wrong turn on the Hudson. You know, it happens. But when the second tower got hit, and Bob and Tom stopped their show, and they're like, there's something, I won't forget, you go from comedy to a tragedy like that, and they were serious. So my 9/11 experience was a little different than most people. Most people were able to turn on the TVs because I was driving 30 hours heading towards Seattle. I listened to 9/11. I listened to the plane, both planes hit the towers, and you know, listened to the Pentagon get hit, and then the towers collapsing, and then the plane going down in Pennsylvania. And you know, when I'd stop for gas, I'd pop in, and of course the clerks had TVs on, so I caught like 5 minutes of the footage, and then kept driving. It wasn't until late at night, if I stopped and got a hotel, or if I kept driving, that I finally saw the footage. And it was heartbreaking to listen to, because I knew, I mean, if you know anything about high-rises, a high-rise fire, that's very dangerous, because there's no way for firefighters really to get up there. So my initial thought was, when I heard the towers get hit, I thought that they would have to tear the towers down, because there was no way that they could fight those blazes the way they were describing them. It's like, oh my God, they're going to have to tear down the Twin Towers because there's going to be so much damage. And then when the first tower fell, you knew that it was just a matter of time before the second one fell. And God, you think about all those firefighters that rushed in that building trying to save people. It's just, this day just brings up all kinds of emotions. And like I said, I still have a hard time looking at the footage. If I have a good day, I'll watch it on YouTube. But I just wanted to show this, guys. This is the TTM Thomas Franklin, and I had him sign this photo. Most of you guys will recognize this as the hero's photo. The firefighters raising the flag at the rubble of Ground Zero. So, I mean, this might not be considered a valuable TTM because it's just the guy that took the photo, but to me, man, that's quite impactful. So that's definitely something I will keep in my collection. In this photo, this is something I've obviously got backed up, and something that I will cherish, because I stood in between both those towers, man, just thinking that a plane hit somewhere up in there. Unbelievable. Just absolutely unbelievable. So just wanted to share my 9/11 story. I don't want to ramble on too much, because you know, it's 10 years later, and like I said, it's still very tough to talk about and see. But I'm looking forward to seeing some of you guys' videos. I've seen some of them pop up, so please tell your 9/11 story. Look at the photos if you can. Read the stories. Just a quick one I saw on Yahoo. The F-16 pilots that scrambled when they realized it was a terrorist attack were not equipped with missiles to take down any other planes, especially the one heading in Pennsylvania towards Washington, D.C., and their orders were to take it down. And the pilot was interviewed, and they said they had rounds, machine gun rounds, but if that didn't take down the plane, they talked about it, and they were going to ram the fighter planes into the jetliners to take it down. I mean, that's how serious the day was. Can you imagine being scrambled, and that's your mission, take it down at all costs? I mean, you just hear stories like that, and 10 years later, that's the stories. I mean, there's some amazing stories of, you know, bravery, and the men and women who tried to save people, that went back in, that perished, the first responders, all the people on search and rescue. There's amazing stories that came out of 9/11, don't get me wrong. I love reading those stories. It's just watching the actual footage of the plane hitting and, you know, people jumping to their death. There's a famous photo of the falling man. That's a great backstory on the photographer that took that, but people were jumping. They had no other choice. But like I said, there are some amazing stories coming out of 9/11, but it is a day that will define our generation for sure. And I hope nothing like that ever happens again. So show off that TTM. Again, one more look, guys, at the Twin Towers from the base of Tower 1 and Tower 2, and the North Tower and South Tower. World Trade Center 1, World Trade Center 2. Looking up. And then leave you with the skyline that will never be. Something we will definitely never ever forget. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed my 9/11 story, and just something we will never forget, guys. 9/11.